Welcome to PresentERs, our first session for 2026. This evening we have a treat, a view from a different part of the world that we have not heard from before. We have Dr. Havva Kurt Taşpınar, I think. I'm not very good with my Turkish pronunciation, so please forgive me. She is a lecturer at İzmir Institute of Technology in Turkiye, School of Foreign Languages. She's presented at a lot of national, international conferences and has published many articles. She's also a reviewer, Applied Linguistics coordinator in TESOL, and she's interested in obviously extensive reading, but also genre-based reading instruction, creative and critical thinking, motivation, grit, I like that one, and growth mindset in foreign language learning. So that's a huge variety of topics. And today she's going to give us a view from Turkey of her extensive reading program. So, Havva, please, over to you.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for this introduction. And hello, everybody. Welcome to my presentation. So I'm just sharing my screen now. Just to check, can you see my screen?
Yes, everything looks good.
All right, great. Thank you. So welcome to my presentation, which is titled Extensive Reading in University EFL Context. And I'll be sharing insights from Turkey with you. All right, here you can see the outline of my presentation. First, I'll give you some information about the context and teaching foreign languages in English, specifically in Turkey. And then we'll delve into a bit higher education, English teaching and teaching reading at higher education context. And then we'll have a look at the literature review, implementation of ER in Turkey, and then we'll have a look at the current situation. So, as you all know, Turkey is actually located at the crossroads. So, as a result of this, it has continuously had a strategic geopolitical position. That's why we have to have connection and collaboration with our neighboring countries and the neighboring nations. According to Bartu, it's not only a natural bridge, it's also a cultural one between the West and the East. So as a result of all these, as you may guess, foreign language teaching has always had a fundamental place in education. So now it's compulsory, of course, in this global world, but the number of lessons per week may vary based on the type of the school. If it's a private school, of course, the students will be learning more English. And again, if you have a look at this table, you see this chronological change in priorities given to different languages at different times in Turkey. So it used to be Arabic and Persian in the past, and then we had French, English, and German added to the list. As of 1923, it's the Republic year, actually, the Turkish Republic, when it was founded. We had French as a more common language. Being taught as a foreign language, of course, and then came English, German. As of 1950s, after the Second World War, in other words, English has become a more important language as a foreign language, being taught as a foreign language. So it's not a second language context, as you could understand. English is being taught as a foreign language in Turkey, and it was first initiated actually a long time ago in 1800s with the foundation of Robert College in Istanbul. This college is accepted as the starting. It was first started as Robert College, but then it turned into Boğaziçi University. So it has roots in Robert College, in other words. And as I've told already, English teaching has gained importance throughout the years, more specifically after the Second World War. It was all great, but after 1960s, because of overpopulated classrooms, especially in state schools, the quality and the language teaching programs declined. And after 1960s, we had more private schools or more private tutoring centers. They were founded to deal with this problem. And actually, ELT programs are now prepared in line with the main objectives set by the Ministry of National Education. And the recent reform was in 2012, which adopted an action-oriented approach and active learning. But then this was refined in 2018. And after 2018, now we have English in the second grade in primary school, and it's all in state schools and private schools. So it's now compulsory to learn English in primary education as well. So a common European framework of references was adopted, of course. So this is the general situation when it comes to English language teaching in Turkey. What about higher education? For the time being, we have 208 universities. And of these 208 universities, we have 129 as state universities, including 11 technical universities, 2 fine art universities, 1 technology institute where I'm currently working, and the Coast Guard Academy, along with the National Defense University. So these are all state universities. In addition to these universities, we also have 75 foundation universities and 4 foundation vocational colleges. So when we look at Times Higher Education 2026, I mean, these are the top rating universities. Koç University is the top. And if you look at the top 6, 3 of them are state universities, Middle East, Boğaziçi, the one I was telling you about, and Istanbul Technical University, which we call İTÜ in Turkey. These are the state universities, and we have Koç, Sabancı, and Bilkent. Actually, Bilkent's name has changed into İhsan Doğramacı Bilkent University after the founder, İhsan Doğramacı, passed away. It was actually the first private university in Turkey, which was founded in 1980s, as far as I remember. So we have the first 6 universities here, and then the next 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, I guess. Again, this is a mixture of both private and state universities. And there you can see my institution, Izmir Institute of Technology, ranking 16th. Actually, my university is relatively a younger one, which was founded in 2006 or 7. I just couldn't remember right now. Sorry about that. And what about English? What about there being English medium or not? So these are the fully or mostly English medium universities. Again, you see the Times Higher Education list actually, and there is an overlap there. So we have this English medium universities, and they are also the highest ranking ones. Yeah, again, you see some of these are state universities and some of them are private universities. These are the other universities with strong English programs. So this means we don't have English as the medium of instruction here, but they have the 2 options of either offering the programs in 100% English or 30% English. So they have this mixture of these 2 kinds of programs. Like, how can they measure it? I'm not sure, but 70% is of the curriculum is offered in Turkish. But still, in these universities, we have English as an important component of the program. And these are the private universities with strong English. As you can see, most of them are located in Istanbul. Some of them are located in Ankara. So, what about higher education? Actually, it's an interesting story. Students start learning English in grade 2 in primary school, but then we can still have A2 at university. How does this happen? I'm not sure, but this may explain some things about the quality of these English teaching programs, maybe, because at university level, we still have beginning level students. So again, depending on their previous schools where they studied, some of the schools, some of the students, even very successful students, may come from states, high schools. So this means they didn't have very good opportunities to improve their English. So once they come to university, we just give them a proficiency test. And if they can not pass this test, this means they'll have to stay with us for 1 year. This is a compulsory 1-year education. So we call this a preparatory year. So prep year students, we call them. So it's just after high school and just before they go to their own departments at university. So the program, if the program is taught in English, of course, this is not the case at all universities. As I've said earlier, if the instruction is, the minimum of instruction is in English, then they have to stay with us for 1 year. And this is intensive English before they go to their departments. So for 1 year, they stay with us. And when we look at this list again, we see this is ODTÜ, we call it in Turkiye, Orta Doğu Teknik Üniversitesi. This is Middle Eastern Technical University, actually. Boğaziçi, METÜ is in Ankara, by the way. Boğaziçi in Istanbul. İSTEK, my institution, Bilkent, Koç Sabancı, TED. The last four on the list are private universities. So students study English for 1 year, and this is very intensive. They have 20 or 30 hours per week. If they fail, they study another year. But if they fail at the end of the second year, then they have to go to another university where the instruction is offered in Turkish. So in the past, we used to have this 1 year in which we had our main course as a core component of the program. And then we had the reading skills, writing skills, speaking skills, and listening skills separately being taught. Before we adopted this integrated skills approach, which happened after, I guess, 2018, we first started to integrate reading with writing and listening with speaking, but we still had this main course. Main course was the course which was actually used to teach grammar mostly. Again, it was an integrated skills book, but we had some other books that we used. For instance, we used Q Skills. Again, it was by Oxford University Press. So it was a kind of a combination of main course and skills-based curriculum. But nowadays, at most universities, we have this integrated skills approach. Only some private universities that I could contact with, again, for this presentation, told me that they had their own materials prepared by their own staff, teaching staff. But other than that, now in most cases, we have an integrated skills book, which is generally offered by either Cambridge, Oxford, McGraw-Hill, or Pearson. And the whole program is, arranged based on this book, I can tell you. In some situations, some universities have separate academic skills classes. In our case, we have it as academic writing, and we have a separate booklet, again, which was prepared by our own instructors. So we have our own booklets to teach academic writing. But other than that, we use English File. English File is a very popular one in Turkey. So in most prep year schools, in most foreign languages schools, let me say, they generally prefer to use English File. The other ones, as you can see, High Note, Interchange, Insights, depending on the level. In some cases, again, at some universities, especially in Istanbul, for the lower levels, they prefer some other books by some publishers, but when it comes to the higher levels, they change the publishing house, they change the book. And what about the English Proficiency Index? Unfortunately, we have ranked 65th, and this is 2024 actually. Maybe I should check it again for 2025, but I'm not expecting it to be higher, unfortunately. Why? Because we have the university entrance examination during the high school years. Students are worried about, their future in terms of entering a good high quality university. So we generally have the standardized test, which is administered at the national level. It's a multiple choice test. So unfortunately, during the high school years, students do not give much importance to learning English. They just focus on their studies regarding the university entrance exam, let me say. So what about ER? Actually, it has been on stage for quite a long time now, but when we look at ethics article, we can see that nowadays it's scarce, unfortunately. And again, while I was trying to prepare this presentation, I had to contact some universities again. I'll be sharing you the results. Actually, the results are not so good, unfortunately. So Derin Atay, this professor was was a supporter of ER, and she conducted this quasi-experimental study. It was about the effects of reading, a reading program which combined intensive reading with guided extensive reading. Kara did another study to see the impact of ER on the reading comprehension skills of EFL students. Tezdiker wrote the whole thesis on the effectiveness of an ER project. Again, this was implemented at a state university. Back to 2009, again, Savaş conducting this study, which adopted an ER-based approach versus an IR and translation-based methods, and to see its impact on AP at an EAP context at a state university. Tiryaki Tütünüş, they conducted their study at a private university in Istanbul. Again, this was a quasi-experimental study, and they wanted to see the impact of this program on learners' vocabulary acquisition. Interestingly, in this study, learners' levels was just elementary. Mede et al., again, they conducted another study to investigate foreign language learners and teachers' perceptions this time. Yes, these are being carried out, these kinds of studies are being carried out, but what about learners and teachers' perceptions? Overall, the findings were positive, by the way. I can't share the details here right now, but I have written a book chapter, which is going to be published soon, hopefully. So I'll be telling about all these things in the book chapter. In 2014, Ayhan wanted to investigate the impact of an ER project again, but this time again it was conducted in a high school context. So another pre and post perception study by Yılmaz, another impact of ER study by Utku and Köroğlu. So this is 2017, relatively newer. And again, Aktürk wanted to examine the relationship between ER and language performance. Again, another high school context study. 2020, these are the pandemic days. And Yılmaz et al. Wanted to investigate the impact of an ER program. They wanted to integrate this with a follow-up writing program. And Atik, this was a mixed method study, and again, this was a perceptions and practices study. Finally, Uca Çelik and Şahan, they wanted to investigate the perceptions of EFL instructors in Turkey. This time, again, this was extensive reading, but different from the others. This was OER, and they also wanted to see the effects and the challenges of its implementation. So when we look at the literature, this is what we have regarding extensive reading. The issues, I mean, as one of those instructors who is teaching at university level, I can tell you that we have this strict curricula. We have to, it's all centralized. We can't talk about teacher autonomy here. I have to follow this course map prepared by my curriculum coordinators for my level. I was teaching level 1 this year, by the way. I taught, I mean, during the first semester. And yeah, what is the ultimate goal of our students? To pass this proficiency exam, which they are going to sit at the end of the year. So they just want to pass. Last year, they had to pass this university entrance examination, and now they are at university. But unfortunately, this time they have to pass another exam, which is this prep year English exam. Actually, each university has a fancy name for that. Like they call it a different, they give it a different name. In our case, it's just the final exam, the proficiency exam. So culturally, again, although this has started to change recently, we have this teacher-centered preferences. I don't know why. I mean, as an insider, I can tell you from an insider's perspective that this is all about culture. I mean, like teacher being the authority. Yeah, it has started to change. That's good news, but we still have this, especially when we talk about state schools, especially when we talk about secondary education. When it comes to higher education context, luckily these teachers, they have more training opportunities. They have more global contact. So I think things have started to change in a positive way when it comes to higher education. context, but generally we have this teacher being at the center of these instructional practices. Time constraints, I have 1 year only for those poor level 1 students. We start with A2 and then we have all the other levels. The exit level has been determined as B2. So can you imagine you have just 1 year and you have to take those students from A2 to B2. Actually, it's like mission impossible for most of us. And most teachers, they don't know how to implement extensive reading. This is about their need for guidance. So I think it's kind of, there's this misconception. I'll be telling more about this in my next slides. But when I say, you know, I told you that I contacted these universities to be able to prepare this presentation. And when I say extensive reading, some were very sure, you know, they didn't ask any other follow-up questions at all, and they just answered my questions. But some, they just asked, extensive reading, what do you mean exactly, kind of. So I'm not sure whether these teachers are sure about what extensive reading is in, you know, in real terms. And level appropriate text or, you know, graded readers. This is again, you know, I'm not sure if you know about the inflation level in Turkey right now, but yes, students do not have access. Not all students can have access. So in private institutions, it may not be a problem, but mine is a state school, so they can, some students even can't buy the course books that we are using. You know, and in the past they had to buy a lot of books because they had to buy the main course book and all the other skills books. But thanks God, now we have just one book. I mean, if you consider all the levels, like 4 books at most, I guess they have to buy. But not all students can buy even those books. You know, they don't have the budget. And lack of institutional support. I told you I don't have this teacher autonomy. I can't say that I'm going to go into my classroom and I'm going to do this and that, you know, because I have to follow the same course map. All the students, all the level 1 students sit the same quizzes, the same exams, the same term exams. And at the end of the year, they take the same proficiency test. So I have to strictly follow the course map that is provided by my institution. Maybe I can do some other activities outside outside class, but again, you know, it's not very preferred by students. And yes, when you explain, when you mention ER, they just do not see the real connection, you know, between ER and the standardized assessment practice, because assessment is another issue that is very important in our context in countries like Turkey. Like, are you teaching to the test? This is one of the questions that we keep asking ourselves as people who do not value assessment over teaching curriculum, I mean. But in most institutions, this is the case. I mean, assessment, it's the big power, and you have to determine, sorry, yeah, these students, will they be going, will they be failing? So in that sense, they don't see the real value of ER. They may not. I shouldn't use strong words here, but I mean, this is actually from my perspective. And if we look at these challenges from these 3 aspects, yeah, teacher-related, I've mentioned some of them. Lack of training, they don't know how to do this. Some may have this technological competence issues. Actually, after the pandemic, this has changed, of course, but still. And busy schedules. This is the most important problem, if you ask me. And when we look at the student profile, are they avid readers? Even in Turkish, I'm sorry, but no. Reading is not very highly valued in our culture, unfortunately. We try to, I mean, personally, I try to model them, you know, although I'm very busy, I keep reading all the time. I try to, you know, in the warm-up sessions. But after these social media platforms, especially nowadays, they don't read much. They just swipe, swipe, swipe. And some may suffer from insufficient language proficiency, and also they have varying levels of technological access. Yes, those students who are very good at using those social media platforms may be like novice users when it comes to these, you know, educational platforms. So they really need support. Teacher-centered instruction, as I've mentioned earlier, so they are used to seeing the teacher as the main actor in this teaching process. And I think the worst of all is this examination-focused study. Yeah, they just want to pass. They just want to go to their departments. That's their main concern. And yeah, insufficient administrative support when it comes to the systems, the rigid curricula, lack of library resources, and limited budgets. These are the system-related issues that we can mention as the real challenges. Okay. As for the materials, we have graded readers. I'll be showing you some from major publishers. And we have more authentic materials, thanks God. After the pandemic, of course, we now have more access to these websites, blogs. I mean, some people have just discovered them and they have started to use these more. And we have digital technologies. We have online reading platforms, ebooks, and mobile applications also being used at different levels in language teaching in Turkey. And these are some of the examples. These are the tasks that we ask our students to perform. Actually, I'll tell you in the upcoming slides. So yes, these are again from literature, from those studies. I could extract these tasks like reading logs, journals, literature discussion circles. For instance, in the next semester, we'll be having a reading circle, which was proposed by Oxford University. They have a specific booklet that they had prepared. And they have peer discussions, creative writing responses, book reports. This is popular. This used to be popular. And ER projects, yeah, I guess this is more popular nowadays. And presentations, because with the emergence of AI now, we just want to make sure at least they can present, we all want them to read the books at the same time. But with the AI now, surprisingly, I've just heard that after the emergence of AI and it's being used very frequently now among students, they decided to quit their ER program, for instance. So assessment, this is always there because if we do not take these processes into the assessment practices, then students do not read. This is the main concern. Ask any Turkish English teacher about ER, and this is the first response that you're going to be getting. They don't read. We have to assess it, otherwise they won't read. This is a cultural problem, as I've said earlier. So in some institutions, again, this is being assessed as part of the formative assessment practices, but unfortunately in some it's part of the summative assessment practices. Again, in my own institution, I do remember having a specific part in our quizzes, which was called the extensive reading part, and we had this WH questions about the books that they were supposed to read. So the books were determined by teachers, by the level coordinators, because we as teachers had to read those books in order to be able to grade those exam papers. And if this is the case, then students do not have the learner autonomy to choose their own materials. So you see, if it's part of the assessment practices, then you don't have much freedom, and it's not ER anymore, as you all know. So this is the current situation now. I tried to contact more universities, and I have just prepared a survey for which I'm expecting the ethical approval from my institution right now. But this was kind of a pre-survey contact, let me say, just to be able to prepare this presentation. I contacted like more than 25 universities, but only 19 of them I could get a response. I tried to contact the curriculum coordinators or the vice principals, and these are the results. Bad news. Only at 3 state universities and 3 private universities we have ER now, as of 2026, 2025, let me say, in the 2025-2026 academic year. And in our institution, we don't call it ER anymore. After my Bali conference, I just realized it's not ER, so we call it Graded Reader Project in my institution. And out of these 19 universities, we have only 12 universities. And actually, this is the majority. There is no ER there at all. They have quit very recently. At least 6 of these universities told me that we don't do it anymore. We used to have one, but we don't. In one of the state universities, they had this survey. They wanted to ask students for their preferences. Extensive reading was one of the options, but it wasn't chosen as one of the options. So they just didn't start this as a project. I guess they were planning to have it as an extracurricular activity. So we have this curriculum-related activities in the prep years, by the way, I have forgotten to mention, but we also have the extracurricular activities. Yeah, it's, in some institutions, you can have such activities as extracurricular activities. Again, students can stay at school afterwards and, they can, if they want, they can do these. Again, those are more common at private universities. So what about the implementations? If we go deeper into these implementations, in the first state, at the first state university, it wasn't systematic, and it was being carried out as part of the self-access center activity. So they have the self-access center, I guess, where they have their graded readers. So students can go and read, but it's not systematic. It's not assessed. So they just go and read, I guess. And it's not being guided by a teacher or instructor. At State University too, they had an online platform, which I think is similar to ours. I'll be showing it to you in a minute. So they do this through an online platform. Students read some books, and it's again assessed part of the assessment practices. Otherwise, the students will not be reading. And at State University 3, they have, in addition to the integrated skills course, they have this academic skills course where they emphasize reading skills mainly. And again, as part of these reading skills, they try to encourage, this is what they told me, we are trying to encourage ER activities, but this encourage, I guess, again, is an indicator of this program's not being very systematic. When it comes to private universities, these were the important ones, by the way. When we think about the Times Higher Education list, these are the private universities from that list. These are the successful ones. So, for instance, the first private university they told me that they had this at high levels particularly. They call this Route 4, and these are the B2 level students. The instructors teaching at this level, they have some kind of autonomy, they said, and it's not compulsory, but these teachers, if they wish, and they try to encourage extensive reading again. At another private university, they have this as part of this reading skills program again, and it's again assessed formatively. And this last one, again, this private university is one of those private universities in Istanbul. They have reading skills. This private university, by the way, do not have a course book. They prepare their own materials, like I said earlier. And they have these reading skills and project writing sessions, for which students are expected to read a lot of articles. Let's say if the teacher gives them 3 of these articles, they have to find 2 more by themselves, and they have to read those articles. Why? Because they have to prepare a survey and based on these articles. By the way, they told me that they first pick a theme. That's how they select these articles. And then they also give them some time, of course, obviously, I mean, to study for these articles. And then they prepare a survey for their peers, blah, blah, blah. I mean, as a result, again, this is assessed as part of these formative assessment practices. So is this implementation or is this misimplementation of ER? Maybe we can try to answer these all together. I mean, systematic approaches, unfortunately, no. And inclusion of assessment, yes, it's always there. I told you we had to read the same books as teachers in order to be able to ask the questions in the exams. Otherwise, students wouldn't be reading. That was our main concern. But you can't increase the number of books. This time, teachers, they just start to complain because of this, burden that they have over their shoulders. They already have a lot to do. And in addition to that, will they have to read those books and that? It was actually being implemented in this way in the past. We have quit that as well. Extensive, what is extensive? I mean, reading extensively, how much is extensive? The amount of reading. Again, in this Bali conference, the ER conference, I was shocked when I saw the numbers, at some institutions, and I guess Japan is also here included in this list. You have a very high level, high number of words that the students have to read per semester. We don't have such extensive reading in Turkey, unfortunately. Learner autonomy. Students can't choose their own materials to read. They just can't choose the books that they want to read. So who selects those? Generally, these are the coordinators, the curriculum coordinators, or the administration, let's say. And learner reflection in tracking learner progress. No, we don't have this. And again, this has emerged as a new concern, the impact of AI and plagiarism. When it comes to extensive reading with a group of learners who do not like reading much, they think they'll not read these books because they'll be, using AI and they'll be cheating. So these are the main reasons, I guess, for this misimplementation of ER. So in my case, we use English file. I told you. I mean, I'll be telling you about these publishers' house, but I hope it doesn't cause any problems. Actually, when I was one of the coordinators in the past, we asked them to offer a kind of a platform, online platform. They already had this, but we said for our students, can't you prepare a kind of a collection? And now the students, they buy the books. This has been we have been doing this in this way for quite some time now. I mean, before the pandemic, I guess, even we started to do this in this way. And on those days, I guess, again, it was the level coordinators who suggested some of these books. And Oxford put these into these collections for our school. The students buy the books, the integrated skills books, let's say English file in this case, and they pay an extra amount of money, I guess, in order to be able to reach these books on the same platform, Oxford Learners Bookshelf. I guess for each collection, they have more than 10, obviously, like 16, 17, maybe 20 at most. But yeah, this is A1, B2, they are all there, and we have B1, B2. Based on the levels. In our institution, we have 3 levels, level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 3 students start with intermediate level books, I guess. Yeah, and I have to finish at the same level, B2, upper intermediate level books. So they just choose, the level coordinators again, I'll show you, choose 2 books for each semester. But we don't call this an extensive reading project anymore. This is called a graded reader project presentation. So from each collection, the level coordinators choose 2 books, and we announce the names of these books to our students. We give them like 3 weeks, I guess. And we just ask them to read these books, but we don't give them any, instruction or any reason for reading. We just ask them to read and enjoy your books. And after a 3-week period of time, we ask them to choose one, and they have to form their groups, like 4 students in each group, I guess, minimum. And then they choose one of these tasks, and based on the book they have selected, they just create something. Sometimes it's a film poster, sometimes they do a 3D model, a cartoon strip, or they can create a digital story, board games, social media profiles, an alternative ending, a children's book. Sometimes they prefer to have an interview with the characters or with the writer. They do this in the classroom. Some pre-record, based on the task that they choose, but some they do this. We have 1 week for this, like 6 periods, I guess. And we have these performances in the classroom. Sometimes they just rewrite a scene. They have this choice with their group members. They come together and they choose. This year, Actually, I'll show you the products in a minute, but I know not all the students read the two of the books. I know that. I can feel it as a teacher. So they just picked one of these books, they read it. I'm sure they consulted their ChatGPT as a guide, and then they prepared some things. Actually, the end products were good. So look at these. Only one group in my class picked The Withered Arm by Thomas Hardy, by the way, and they picked this creating a poster task. Other than that, all the other groups prefer to prepare their projects on Les Miserables. So this was a children's book. It was nice actually, but again, you can't. Using AI is not something bad, but how much did they read? How much did they create by themselves? These may be some concerns nowadays. And the other one was preparing a social media account, and they preferred Instagram, as you can see. One of the groups preferred to create a model for the city for this Les Miserables again. And the other group picked preparing an X profile. I just picked some of these visuals. They were fun, actually. They were good. They could present them quite well. But as I've told you, I'm sure not all students read both of the books. And this is another interesting thing that I'd like to share from the Turkish context with you. This is from one of the state universities. I saw this and I really liked this a lot when I saw this. But the bad news is they have to buy the books from this vending machine, and not all students may have the budget to be able to do so. Actually, I should have checked the prices. I don't remember the prices. Were they affordable enough? I'm not sure, but I like the idea, just in the hallway you see something like this, and it may remind you of the value of reading. And, instead of buying a coffee, maybe how many coffees would you be able to buy with the money that you used to buy a book? I'm not sure. With the currency, the situation is not that good in Turkey right now, unfortunately. And the books are very expensive because they come from other countries. They are really expensive. Okay, so, but some better things are happening when it comes to secondary schools. They have started to use these platforms more frequently, surprisingly. I don't know what's happening there. I have always been taught at high level. I have always been a teacher at high level. So I have a daughter who is now a student in a primary school, in a secondary private school. And I have some other students that I know. So in my daughter's school, they use this SRI by McGraw-Hill. And each week, the English teacher, they assign them 3 or 4 books. They read the books by themselves. Again, actually, they don't choose. I wish they could. But they read the questions, they record their own voices, they earn some points, as a result, they do some favors to some other people there, the certification thing, the gamification elements are all in these platforms, embedded in these platforms. The other one is Bookar. Again, this is a very popular one and in secondary education. And this is Ras Plus. Last year, they used to use this one in my daughter's school, but I know, again, this year in some private in secondary schools in Izmir, by the way, I'm telling you about Izmir. So these are the common platforms. Yeah, these are good. I checked this one this year. It's nice. I mean, it's all. And this one is also, I've checked this one also. I just wanted to see what's inside. You have these leveled books, the graded readers. The thing is, yeah, I mean, every week, 4 or 5 books are assigned to students. So they have to read these books in 1 week, and they have to do some activities afterwards. And again, on the system, the teacher can track individual students who could read, who didn't read, kind of. Okay, so what's happening? I'm going backwards. Sorry, I'm trying to go to the next slide. Something is happening. Actually, I think I had my thank you slide. That was the next one. Oh, there, I think, yeah. Yeah, before I say thank you and before I ask for your questions, these are my final words. I mean, if we consider Dan Bramford 10 principles, we fail, unfortunately, as English teachers in Turkey. We can't make sure if the reading material is easy enough. We can't provide them with a wide range of topics or materials. They don't choose what they want to read. We always have the decision maker, be it the coordinator, the curriculum coordinator. I mean, even teachers do not have their own autonomy, so in most cases. And they don't read as much as possible. I mean, we asked them to read only 2 books per semester. I guess they could have read those 2 books, but they didn't. I know they didn't. And the purpose is not related to pleasure. Again, they are asked to read to do something. We have this end product, the end task. Again, that is assessed part of formative assessment. That's the good news nowadays. I mean, it has changed to formative from summative. And reading is not its own reward in this case. So out of these 10 principles, I guess we have 6 of them in red, which means the situation is not that good, unfortunately, in Turkey. Yeah, we are trying to be a model, we are trying to guide them, but we also need guidance. And I think reading is individual and silent in their dorm rooms. And I think they can, read faster or slower if they want. They can manage that. So basically, that's it. These are my references. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you for your patience.
And thank you very much. If everyone, round of applause, please.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was, I thank you so much for giving an overview of what is happening in the country and not just in your institution. It's been really interesting to get that overview because it's obviously I've never been to Turkey. I have no idea of what the EFL environment is there. So I feel like I've learned a lot about that now. So thank you very much for that.
I thank you.
Now,
I hope it wasn't too much.
no, absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. Now, some questions. I would like to see if anyone has any questions. If you'd like to unmute yourself and ask a question, please feel free.
Well, not a question, just a comment. Yeah, it was very, very interesting. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, no, it was fantastic. Yeah, it was very, and I would say there's many schools in Japan that also find themselves not doing an ER program to the quality that Dave Bamford. Are you talking? Daddy? But yeah, so my point is that don't feel that because you're in Turkey or other reasons that your program is not able to live up to the standards of an ER program. I think many fail to do so as well.
Oh, thank you. That's good to hear that. I mean,
yeah. Just that I think actually Rob Waring and Stuart McLean wrote an article on that. Sandra, do you know about that? Sandra, do you know?
Yes, but I'm not sure. Yes, I remember it coming out, and I remember the talk around it, but I'm not sure exactly when or where. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know Rob Waring, but he's done research on mostly in East Asia about universities and their perception of ER and whether they're doing it or not. So yeah, he might actually come to the meeting. He said he's going to try to join.
He was here. He was here, but he had to leave at 5:30 for another meeting. So yes, he was here.
Yeah. We were texting and he reminded me that we had the meeting tonight. So that's why I was late. But yeah, because Rob told me. And this guy has never actually used a headphone before, so he's kind of my speakers aren't working, so I'm using headphones, and he's very interested what it is. Can you hear? I think it's like that. Don't pull my computer off the shelf.
But yes, Paul is absolutely right. Every ER program there are many, many teachers who struggle with institutions who perhaps don't support the way that they think of ER and value it. So it's certainly not your institution or your, institutions that have that difficulty. I think that's a common thing among many of the people who have had present for us. So yeah, you're fighting the good fight.
I just want to add to that Richard Day, if you've seen him present, I mean, it hasn't been recent, it was quite a few years ago, maybe about 10 years ago. He himself acknowledged that the standards are too high, that he's reassessed his own principles and say really there's only two that are really necessary, which is the material needs to be easy and the students need to be reading a lot. But the other 8 principles, he said, are more optional than he had initially felt when he wrote the 10 principles.
So
Oh,
yes, the
interesting.
extensive, yeah, the actual extensive part of extensive, which is very important. Yeah.
Yeah. Although it sounds like with her, if your students are only reading 2 books a semester or a year, that doesn't sound like that would make it extensive. But
Can I ask Havva about
not work
that?
with this guy. Sorry.
The two books per semester. How long is your semester? How many weeks?
17 weeks, I guess it was this semester.
Okay.
Yeah. But we introduced this project to them, in the last 4 or 5 weeks, I guess. I mean, we don't ask them to start reading immediately because especially with level 1 students, we start with, elementary level books with them. So we need some time to progress. We need some time for them to have some progress. So that's why we wait till the end of the semester. Yeah. And other projects, it's not only one. So we need some time to be able to introduce this. And it was like in week 13 or 12. We introduced this in week 12, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I think because you've got 1 year, haven't you? You say for them to.
Mhm.
That's not much time to go from 0 to getting them interested and getting them reading and actually then reading. So.
Mission impossible, actually, and it's very fast. We call this pacing. I can't tell you how many files we have to cover in a week. So it's all so fast, we have to cover a lot in 1 week.
Do you mean like files from like English file or
Yeah, I mean like units, let's say, in more terms, yeah.
I also use English file or American English file because American English is more popular here. But so I certainly know how much content there is in that course to cover. And having extra, it is very difficult to get through all that content. So I certainly feel your struggle there.
I have this Matryoshka doll analogy there, the book, you look at the book and you see just 2 pages, but then comes the grammar page, vocab page, communication part page. So it's like this Matryoshka doll, open and you have new babies inside, kind of, yeah.
So I think we've got a few things coming up in the chat here. Kimberly, what's this? There's not a big difference between what and what? No.
Between the Waring and McLean and Robin Day. Day and Bamford. Sorry, it is midnight here, so
yeah,
brain's gone a little bit haywire. The main difference is that Waring and McLean don't think that students being interested in the materials that they read is a core principle, and they advocate that it should be compulsory. I think. I'm really certain about the first one, not so certain about the second one. Sorry, again, midnight. But the rest of it, like, it's not actually a huge difference if you read both articles side by side, like what they say. It's not actually a huge difference.
okay.
They're not, fundamentally opposed to each other or anything.
So also Chris here is asking about, well, yes, do you have access to other digital reading platforms? So obviously X Reading, which Paul is able to tell us all about, of course, and the Oxford Reading Club is another one which I know Chris, who's in Spain, they use that. It looks like you have a version like through the bookshelf, but that's kind of an unusual way to go about it. I think a lot of people, if you're using digital platforms, you have a lot more of a variety than just 10 or 12 titles, which if you go through X Reading or the Oxford Reading Club, just as an example, they have. Paul, how many titles have you got on X Reading at the moment?
About 2,000.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
2000.
Sandra, you're familiar with Oxford Bookshelf, right? That was what
Yeah,
existed before.
yes. So
And
I've used Oxford Bookshelf and the Reading Club. I had some access and used that a bit during the pandemic, but then they put the price up.
okay.
Um, but
It
also
was
there's
free
another
during
platform.
the pandemic days, right? Sorry to interrupt, but this
Mhm.
Oxford readers, they were offered for free during the pandemic days.
Yeah,
Uh,
we had
mhm.
access. Did you use that too? Did you?
Yeah, I mean, I do remember, yeah, benefiting from those back then. But now this one is paid. Our concern is economic nowadays, you know.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
addition to the book, you know, they use this main course books I told you,
Mm.
and then with the I can't remember, I can't tell you the details, but with an additional price, you know, it's included this Oxford Learners Bookshelf to make it more accessible. But I'll tell you, not all the students can buy the books. It was like
Hmm.
50%. The others, they somehow use shared books with their friends, or they get secondhand books, you know, the traditional books, I mean, not the online. So
You
this,
mean like
they don't
paper
have
books?
access, yeah, they don't have the access to the platform. So, I mean, yeah, we use it, but not all students can have access to it. The ones who cannot pay, for
Mm.
instance, they will not be able to benefit from that.
But they are using the bookshelf where they're actually purchasing individual titles. Is that what you're saying?
It's kind of a collection prepared for our institution.
Okay.
Yeah.
They buy
Okay.
the
Yeah,
book,
so Sandra,
the
it's like
course
they've
book.
taken sorry. Sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry. They buy the books, but they have to pay an extra amount of money for these readers to be able to use them on the same platform. So it's all included kind of a package.
Right.
Yeah, so Sandra, it's like they throw in if you buy our textbook, we'll give you Oxford Bookshelf for a highly discounted price. I'm sure it's much cheaper than it would be to buy the individual books.
But
Probably.
how would that compare? The thing I'm thinking is like the Oxford Reading Club would seem like a more,
Oh, so I'm guessing.
yeah,
We haven't heard the
yeah,
price. I'm guessing it's probably $2 they're asking for those books as opposed to $90. So it's
right.
it's basically a sweetener. Buy our textbook and we'll throw this in for
Mm,
not for free, but for very 'cause I have some schools in Turkey using X Reading, and
right.
yeah, I know how bad the economic situation is. Because we have to charge in dollars. We should charge in yen. That would help because the yen is also weak, but it's
Terrible.
nothing compared to what's happened to the Turkish lira. It's
Mm.
really over the last few years has just gone down so much.
$1 is 42 Turkish liras, I guess, now.
Is it? Okay. So
Yeah,
it's
I guess. Yeah.
yeah. Well, anyway, I don't think I can stay in this meeting much longer, not by
Okay.
choice, but by somebody has to be taken care of. But if you are interested in next reading, I'd be happy to give you a free subscription just so you can see what it looks like and try it with some students. I think we
Yeah.
met in Bali.
Yeah, actually, yeah, but you know, we already had one, so I introduced this to my school. So maybe I can pilot it first with my own students, right? We
Yeah,
can do it, yes, in
yeah,
before introducing it as a whole school thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Good.
I
Oh,
do
I'm sorry. Did I make an account for you already? I know we met in Bali. He had actually just been born 2 weeks earlier, so I was a little bit preoccupied. He was a lot easier to manage then. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
I do remember meeting you, yes, and I do remember you're mentioning visiting, you're having visited Kulon Temple, the one in town.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I've got to get going because he also needs to have his diaper changed, as I'm finding as his butt is near my nose. Sorry about that. Might be too much information. But I got to sign off. So Sandra
Yep.
can connect us
Yep,
later on. But
absolutely.
I'm really glad I'm sorry I was late, but yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining today, Paul, and thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Ben, you want to say bye-bye? Bye. Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. Okay, now, Chris, thank you. In Spain, but he's given it in no, euros. Here we go. €2.25 per month is the Oxford Reading Club for a 12-month subscription. €2.25 a month. And then that gives you an access to, I don't know how many titles they've got. Hundreds of titles of Oxford.
Wow.
Which I think would be really good. I mean, I know that you've got the selected library that they've given you, very small amount, but if you have access to more, you'll be able to get the students to read a little bit lower and read more. So having access to not just bookworms titles, because honestly, I'm very lucky. I have a large paper library of graded readers here, but Oxford bookworms are not the most popular of the books because they start quite high, well, not high level, but they're not very quick and easy to read. So having more variety with slightly lower level texts would probably be a very, very good thing for your learners. So exploring other possibilities like Oxford Reading Club, X Reading, of course, which I'll get you in touch with Paul. And also there's Reading Oceans is another one. I'm not sure what the pricing is, but I trialed that earlier this year and it was pretty good for some
Reading Oceans.
Yeah, it's out of Japan, but they've got an English interface and everything, so that's no problem. But that was quite good for different kinds of books. They don't have, oh no, they do. They've got some Oxford titles on there, but they have lower level and they have some kids stuff as well. So it gives more variety. So it might be worth checking out some of those things just to see if you can.
And actually, I'm one of the jurors for this extensive reading foundation.
Ah,
So I
right.
get books from Japan every year from Corey.
Yeah.
And Ellie, I guess you have Ellie, right? But we don't have Ellie in Turkey. And I do remember talking to the gentleman who was responsible for that, and they said no, we don't have that in Turkey. But they also have a lot of variety, I guess.
What's it? Oh, Ellie, is it?
Ellie, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah.
correct? Yeah, I guess double L or single L. I'm not sure, but yeah, Ellie, is it Ellie? Ellie.
There's ELI, the Ellie books,
Yeah.
or yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, they're a little bit more expensive, but
Great.
definitely good quality. So, yeah. Now, I just wanted to see, is there anybody who has well, we're down to just a few participants now. What I might do is end the recorded session here and say thank you very much, but hold on, we will continue talking. But yes, thank you for joining us for January, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you very much.